Hello learners, welcome to our virtual learning class. Today we have integrated science and we'll be looking at diseases. And under diseases, we have foodborne diseases. Foodborne diseases. Okay, good. Now, foodborne diseases are illness caused by eating contaminated, spicy or poisonous food or drink. Okay, in our previous lesson we learned about personal hygiene or hygiene, and we learned that hygiene refers to what? Taking good care of ourselves and us are ready to prevent the spread of what? Diseases. Okay, very good. So today, looking at foodborne diseases, meaning when we don't take good care of our environment, what will happen is that the environment will come into contact with what? Germs that causes what? Or germs that cause what? Food diseases or sickness. Okay, so when some of these germs come into contact with our food and we have eaten the food, it will give us a sickness, and these kinds of sickness are what we refer to as foodborne diseases. Okay, very good. And any disease a person gets after eating contaminated food or drink is what? A foodborne diseases. Okay, disease that we get after eating food that have been contaminated, food that have come into contact with germs are foodborne diseases. Okay, good. At times you see that after eating some food, you'll be having a stomach ache or headache, and even after eating the food you feel like vomiting, or even after eating the food you feel very weak, you feel like you can't do anything at all. Okay, and later on you realize that your sickness is out of the food that you have eaten. Okay, so that particular sickness is a foodborne disease. After taking your porridge or after buying the porridge from the roadside, and after taking in the porridge, you vomit, you see, you vomit everything from your stomach. It's what? A foodborne, that sickness is what? A foodborne disease. Okay, very good. Let's continue to look at some examples of foodborne diseases. One, we have cholera. Okay, we have cholera, and cholera is caused by Vibrio cholera. Cholera is caused by Vibrio cholera. So the virus that causes cholera is Vibrio cholera. Okay, very good. Then we also have typhoid fever. We also have typhoid fever. We have diarrhea, and the last one on the body is salmonellosis. Okay, salmonellosis. All these four diseases are all foodborne diseases, or they are all examples of foodborne diseases. Okay, you can get any of these diseases from contaminated food or from eating food that have been infected, or food that has come into contact with germs. Okay, very good. We learned in our previous lesson that germs cause diseases. Okay, good. So any sickness that are caused by all this or that are under these examples are foodborne diseases. We have cholera caused by Vibrio cholera, then typhoid fever, diarrhea, and salmonellosis. Okay, good. Now let's look at some causes of foodborne disease. What are some causes? We learned that when we don't take good care of ourselves and our environment, it causes the spread of diseases. Okay, very good. In personal hygiene. So let's look at some causes of foodborne diseases in our environment. One, we have bacteria, we have viruses, we have parasites. Okay, now all these three, we call them pathogens. All these three are called pathogens. They are organisms that causes the organisms that causes what? We call them pathogens, okay? We call them what? Pathogens, because they are organisms or small or microorganisms that causes what? Diseases, that when they come into contact with our body, they cause us to fall what? Sick, okay? So we call them pathogens. Good. Let's continue. The next cause is what? Harmful toxins or chemicals. You see, at times the food may come into contact with what? Some chemicals that are poisonous to us. Okay. For example, chemicals that we use to destroy mice in our home or mouse in our home. Okay. When those chemicals come into contact with our food, at times it may kill us, or it may let us do what? Fall sick. And before it may kill us, before it can kill us, it will cause us fall sick before we do what? We die. Okay. So those harmful chemicals, like poisons, okay, when they come into contact with our food, they give us what? Food poison. They are also part of our food poisons. Okay. Good. Now let's continue. Then we have for food prepared by what? Infected person. Food prepared by what? Infected person. So if anybody is having any form of food disease, foodborne disease, when that person prepare food, it may happen that the particles of the disease can come into contact with the food the person is preparing. And if care is not taken, it can transmit the disease from the person. The food can transmit the disease from the person to us, okay? So when the food is prepared by an infected person, it can also cause what? Foodborne diseases, okay? Very good. Now, the next one is what? Shellfish from contaminated water. Okay, for example, let's say the person is having a cholera, okay? Then the person has what? Defecated into what? A water body. Okay, very good. So when that water body, since the person, the physics is what? Affected. Okay, since the physics is what? Affected. When the water comes, and when it gets into the water becomes what? Infected. Okay. So when we take a shellfish from that water or from that river, after using the fish, we also contract that one, same diseases. Okay, very good. For example, shellfish like what? A crab. Crab is also an example of what? Shellfish. Okay, so when the crab live in a water that has been contaminated, and we use that crab as food, we also get that hot diseases. Okay, very good. Then the last one is what? Food irrigated with what? Contaminated water. Food irrigated with contaminated water. Good. If, for example, in Accra here, most farmers, especially most vegetable farmers, okay, and even nowadays, we all prefer vegetables than other form. Yeah, it's a good source of what? Food, nutrients, okay, very good. So it's good for us to use it. But those who have been farming, they don't use the pure water, or they don't use the correct water or the good water to irrigate the farm, okay, or to water the farm, okay, good. So when they use this, most of them use what? Gutter water, okay, most of them use gutter water from gutters to irrigate the farm, okay, and know that the gutter is there for us to do what? To dispose of unwanted or polluted water from our house. Some people even open their toilet into the gutter, okay, you see. So when they use this water to irrigate the farm, already the water has been infected. So when they use it to irrigate the farm, the crops have been infected with the infected water. So when we use these crops or we use this vegetable as a source of our food, we we become infected with those kind of diseases. And what will happen to us is that we have our stomach, or even we have problem with our body. Okay, very good. Now let's quickly go through some signs and symptoms of what? Foodborne diseases. One, we have vomiting. See, most of the time, vomiting is the common sign of what? Foodborne disease. When you have foodborne disease, vomiting and what? Abdominal pains are most at times, or they are the common signs and symptoms of what? Foodborne diseases. Okay. They also have fever. We have joint or backache. We have nausea. Okay. One, 2, 3, 4. They are the common what? Signs of what? Foodborne diseases. Okay. Then we have vomiting, fever, abdominal pains, joint or backache, nausea, chills, fatigue, and what? Diarrhea. Very good. These are what? Signs and symptoms. So when you are having any of these signs, it means either you have eaten directly or indirectly a contaminated food. Okay, very good. So with this, since we don't want to force it, we have to practice a good personal hygiene. Okay, to avoid foodborne disease, we have to take food from what? Good source. Okay, to avoid foodborne diseases. Okay, very good. So I would like to bring the lesson for today to an end, and until our next meeting, have a nice day. Bye.